Okay, so I'm a little bit triggered, and let me explain to you why. The Room was created by Tommy Wiseau, and I believe on the 1st there's going to be a movie released with Seth Rogen as the creator. I believe Seth Rogen and the Franco guy, the one from Wizard of Oz that I don't really care for very much. And it's called The Disaster Artist. And it's supposed to be about a movie about Tommy Wiseau making his movie, The Room. Now, originally I was all excited about this. I'm a big fan, I was a big fan of The Room. I know that Tommy Wiseau was kind of a quirky kind of guy, but kind of weird. But, you know, he was kind of a likable weird. So, I mean, what's not to like, right? Until I read Greg Sestero's book. And then I got triggered. And let me explain to you why. As a young actress, I would pound the pavement of New York City trying to get every job that I can. And it's hard. When you want to pay your bills doing what you love, you gotta deal with some shit. And I got good gigs, and I eventually became established as a professional actress enough so that I could sustain myself. But the working up to that point was brutal. I came across a lot of people who were very much like Tommy Wiseau, who had a project that they thought would be the greatest, most brilliant piece of work, and they didn't have the talent or the skill to actually execute it, but they had the funding to do it, so I would go along with them and everything like that. Now, what I've learned in my life experience is that people like that tend to be very abusive to the talent that they hire. They also tend to be very abusive to the crew that they hire, or the stage team that they hire, if you're talking about theater. When I read Greg's book about how Tommy Wiseau conducted himself on set, I was furious because I experienced that very type of behavior. The guy who is not talented, but he has the funding, so he hires talented people to stand on their shoulders and abuses them to make sure that they know that he's better than them because he's writing their paycheck. I was, in hindsight of all the stuff going on in Hollywood today with #MeToo and Harvey Weinstein, I find it odd that everybody is applauding someone who is abusive towards their staff and thinking that it's the greatest thing in the world, and makes misogynistic slurs towards the women of his staff, and basically abuses not just the women but everybody on set. Why do we think that that's okay? Meanwhile, Christian Bale has one freak out and it pretty much ruins his career. You know, why is it okay for somebody who's talented? Why isn't it okay for somebody who's talented to have one slip up, yet somebody like Tommy Wiseau who's not talented can treat people like shit, and it's like, oh, it's just part of his quirky charm. No, it's not part of your quirky charm. If you're an actor, if not, you don't come on set to be abused like that. He threw a bottle at one of his female actors. That's inappropriate. He reminds me personally of a few experiences I've had with photographers and musical producers and directors who have done the same thing. Talk big, wow, wow, look at me, I'm Mr. Fame, I'm gonna put you out there, and I'm going to treat you like shit on the way to do it, and then I'm going to completely have a failure of a project. I have been with people who don't have talent, and they don't mistreat you, and they still treat you nice, and then I have been with people who don't have talent, and they mistreat you, and they treat you badly, and that's what Tommy Wiseau is. Tommy Wiseau is all of those guys that I had to deal with when I first started out. I was with a theater company briefly where a gentleman who was riding on the coattails of his very famous grandfather, who owned a very famous theater company in New York, wanted to make wanted to make shows, but unfortunately he was not as talented as his grandfather. He was a horrible writer, and he was a horrible actor, and he was a horrible director, and he would show up to the to the theater, totally drunk, totally disheveled, upset about his Hispanic girlfriend who would piss him off, who, ironically enough, I reminded him of. And he wrote this part for a girl, I can only assume that she was supposed to be his girlfriend, where she enjoyed having her hair pulled and there was a sex scene, and the actor who did it pulled my hair and I was moaning and groaning and acting like that. And he said, no, 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 no. She's a little bitch. You need to hurt her. Grab that hair that she's so proud of and drag her ass. And he proceeded to come to me, this is during rehearsal, grab my hair at the root and drag me across the stage screaming. Not acting, screaming. Almost ripping my hair out. And he was like, that's how you treat them, because that's how they like it. When you're an actor and you're trying to make it and you're trying to do shows and you're trying to work, you're willing to put up with a lot of shit. But there comes a point where there's a reason for a union. And he also made another actress who happened to also be similar looking. He made her cry, and he was drunk and he smelled of alcohol, and it was a horrible experience. I've had experiences with a photographer who said that he owned his own agency but enjoyed the art of photography. At the time, I was not comfortable doing adult modeling. I was just doing commercial. I was only about 19 years old. And when I told him I was not comfortable doing that, he would badger me over the phone and harass me, and I had to block his number, and then he would send me email after email, and he became obsessed with stalking me. That was another issue. That actually happened to me with about 3 photographers. I've had musical producers that come off like they are big, fancy musical producers that are going to make my shit wonderful. They ridicule my artistic skill and then ghost and steal my work. I have had filmmakers take my music, put it in their films, and only after making it remember that they had to remind me. I've been so subject to so much abuse as an actor, and any actor is going to experience this. But I just don't see why somebody like Tommy Wiseau, who is abusive in this way, should get applauded for it. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve his success, but I am saying he doesn't deserve to go down in the books as Mr. Great, Mr. American Dream, because he's not. He censored people by flagging their videos. He censored Doug Walker. He censored the I Hate Everything YouTube channel, and he then later claimed that his administrative assistant, John, was the one who censored them when he lost the censor debate with YouTube because fair use. And then in the book that Greg wrote, it's revealed that John is actually Tommy. He takes that name, it's a pseudonym, so that he could pretend he's legitimate enough to have his own administrative assistant. I'm like, this guy, on top of it, he gets $6 million and he won't tell anybody where. Let me tell you something. When somebody shows up with a whole bunch of money and they're not saying where it came from, it's not some cute little story, okay? There's probably something sordid behind it, and there's a reason why he doesn't want to say where it came from. Either that, or maybe it's his family fortune and he's just hiding his family name, which that I can respect, but it's just that in combination with the abuse and the censorship. He even stopped and tried to censor this, what was it, the Sydney Film Festival, the Underground Film Festival. There is a documentary being made that did not appeal to his vanity, and they were basically trying to tell the true story of the making of The Room, called A Room Full of Spoons, and he tried to censor them. And he lost that debate, and now those guys have to play catch up with their pre-orders. I just feel that Tommy Wiseau he's a funny guy, and I'm still gonna go see the movie. Ironically enough, I'm still gonna get, and this is the horrible thing about it, we're always beating on Hollywood saying, oh, they don't make good movies anymore, but yet we're all gonna go see this shit. You know, it's like, oh, make bad movies, Hollywood. Yay, that's what we like. We're going to put this shit in the mainstream because it's funny to watch. I'm still going to see the movie. It might be good, but I just reading that part about the way he conducted himself on set and the way he treated his actors, throwing a water bottle at one of his actresses when she asked for water. She said, you know, it's really hot in LA. Maybe you could bring us water bottles on the set. And he throws a water at her and says, nobody will ever do that for you in LA. Let me tell you something. In Miami, they do it. I don't know about LA, but I know that they're more professional than Miami, okay? Just, oh. Yeah, it's got me triggered. It's got me triggered. I've worked with so many people like that. I've worked with so many people like that, and it's... Y'all want to know why I quit? For a long time? That's why. Guys like him, repeatedly abusing people, just, there's a lot of that in Miami. There's a lot of that. You think it's bad that that's in LA. There is, oh my God. Ugh. Just, I can't. I can't. As an actor, I can't. Especially as a woman. There's misogyny there. There's all sorts of fucking shit. Anyway. Despite my complaints, I'm still going to go see the movie. Because I liked The Room. I just don't like the way he behaves. And I don't think he's a good guy. I just don't think he's a good guy. He seems like a bully. Y'all know how I feel about bullies. I can't deal with bullies. I can't. When I see a bully, I have to call them out and say, you're a bully. You know, I can't. I can't.